Hello students, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. Neeraj from Bali University. I'm working in Department of Management as Associate Professor. Now today we are going to talk about qualitative data analysis. There is quantitative and there is qualitative. So today we are going to talk about qualitative data analysis, and we are going to use a software called as MAXQDA. So, this channel is about management concepts and research. If you like such content, do not hesitate to subscribe and like the channel. Without wasting much time, let us start with the video. I have a small presentation for qualitative data analysis. In this, we are going to learn about how to turn your research questions into your initial set of qualitative codes, how to use qualitative coding to find themes and patterns in your data, how to turn your qualitative coding into your final research report, and how to use the tools required to conduct qualitative data analysis. So this is a brief course. In the next classes or in the next tutorial, I am going to go for a little more advanced, but this is the introduction. The agenda is to introduce what is qualitative coding, what is deductive and inductive coding methods, step-by-step overview, how to prepare data, setting up the tool, that is MAXQDA in this video, getting started, creating initial codes, deriving patterns, deciding what to code, bringing it together, deriving themes, telling your idea in terms of story. Now, there is no right or wrong way to code. There is only what's more or less appropriate for your research. For different types of research, different types of codings are required. What is qualitative coding? Qualitative coding is a process of taking unstructured data and systematically categorizing the excerpts in order to find themes and patterns for analysis. So we have some transcripts. What is a transcript? You have a video, you have an audio, you have an interview which is recorded, and then you transcribe it in the form of written document. And that particular written document is again coded. What is a code? Code is a short word or words which describes a paragraph or a segment. So more data is there in form of a paragraph or more than one paragraph or page, and that can be identified in the form of a short code or few words. This is called coding. So when we do this coding, first we create our research plan, we conduct the interviews. Those interviews are written down on the piece of paper, we transcribe it, that means. We analyze the transcripts, and then we code the transcripts, and then we write the reports. What are the types of qualitative data? Transcriptions, theory accounts, that means you have a diary, documents, case studies, audio recordings, video recordings. These can be qualitative data. Why we need qualitative data? Because everything cannot be done by quantitative data. Quantitative data is, defining the things in terms of numbers. But emotions, attitudes, motivation may not be able to be quantifiable. So we need this qualitative data to analyze such kind of emotions, attitudes, motivation, because these things are some of the consumer behavior for that matter. These are things which may not be able to be quantified easily. So we need qualitative analysis for that. So why we need, what are the benefits? It is a systematic tool. It finds patterns and themes. We get some idea about the subjective data. We can find any bias is there. And we find that any quotes are there, any quotations, any things, any one person has said something in particular. We can identify that. Types of coding process, deductive and inductive. There are two types majorly. Now, in inductive coding, we can also call it as ground up coding because it is induced from data. It is induced from data. There is no previous theory to support it. For example, we are finding a new theory. We are trying to generate a new theory. Then it is inductive approach, like a grounded theory. It is grounded by the data. From the data, the theory will come out, a new theory, a new framework. So this is called inductive from the data. What is deductive? We have a theory. From that, we get an idea about our research questions, research objectives. And then we go forward by that particular theory as base. Already we have some theory or previous research. That is deductive. If the PhD students, MBA students are doing, generally they are doing deductive. But inductive can also be done or mix can also be done. So inductive coding, as I told you, starts with data. As I told you, starts with data. Then you make themes or codes, and then you make themes. Deductive coding is top-down coding, top-to-down coding. Because why it is from top to down? Because there is a theory, previous research, which is backing this particular deductive coding. So there is theory, there is some idea beforehand in deductive coding. So this is just one example of qualitative coding. It may not be the only way of doing it. It is one of the ways of doing it. So deductive coding is what we start with certain idea from the theory. We have some codes. Then we fit them in this data is fitted in those codes. Why? Because those codes are derived from some theory. So there are some steps in qualitative data analysis or coding the data. Prepare your data, create initial codes, decide what to code, correlate codes with accepts, group codes into themes, evaluate and revive themes, and write your narrative. Next is steps for coding. Prepare your data. First is prepare your data. When we say prepare your data, what does it mean? We prepare our data by the form of transcripts. There are certain interviews, there are certain things, certain videos, we will transcribe them into a written format. Why in the written format? Because in the written format only we can analyze. Second step is create initial codes. These initial codes can be derived from the previous research, deductive in nature. Then we have to correlate codes with excepts. That means that once the coding has been done, I can show you the screen. Right. First, we create the research plan, we conduct the interviews, we transcribe, then we analyze and we write the report. Here. So first we prepare our data by transcribing it, then we create the initial codes, then we decide what to code. In the sense that there is a passage, there is a transcription, and in that whatever is relevant to those codes, we will take those passages and put it in the codes. Then we correlate the codes with the accepts. In one idea, how many codes are there, we correlate that. And then we group the codes into themes. Similar codes, similar idea codes are one theme. Next, evaluate and revise the themes. We can revise and evaluate the themes because as the data is progress, as we evaluate the data, new themes can be formed. In the last, we write our narratives. Those were the steps. How to prepare the data? If there is an audio, there is an interview, make it into a transcript, as I told you. So first we transcribe it, and the transcription can happen by yourself, by human intervention, or automatic. Yeah. Then you bring your transcript into the qualitative tool. So we are going through MAXQDA. And there is a small diagram as to what all things can be there. As you can see this, for transcribing, if you are having low budget or high budget, if your budget is not there, you will transcribe it yourself. Or you can hire a specialized agency if you have a budget. You can use human transcription services if you have budget. You can go for a free YouTube transcription if you don't have budget and you want it quick. Automatic transcriptions are also there. So this chart can be given to you. So next step is to create initial codes. Like we can see here, suppose we are having a interview for COVID-19 lockdowns, before and after, or what are the experiences of COVID-19 lockdowns. So we have some research questions. Like first one is, what were the participants' initial experience like during the COVID-19 lockdown? Initial experience. Second research question is, in what ways did participants adapt to the new situation? Adaptations. And third is, what routines were interrupted during the lockdown? Interruption. These are the codes which are depicting these questions. What is the first question? What were participants' initial experiences like during the COVID-19 lockdown? So that the code will be initial experience. Second is, in what ways did participants adapt to the new situation? The code is adaptations. Third is, what routines were interrupted during the lockdown? That is, if there is some interruption, this interruption is the code. Let us see our MAXQDA. I have some, sorry, I have some transcripts for knowing, for learning. So, for example, we start with a new project. And we name it as Dr. Neeraj Practice Session. And we share it. Now we have saved it, yeah? And the name has come here, Dr. Neeraj Practice Session. Now suppose I want to put the text files which are already transcribed. Interview was taken, it was recorded in the audio, and then we transcribed, we made it into written form, and I have transcription, I have interviews. Let us put that data inside this software. Let me go to the desktop. Again, go to the folder, Qualitative Analysis Course Practice, and we have some transcripts. Let me select all of them and say open. So all the transcripts have come here. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Here we can see the transcripts. Now let me close this so that you can see the bigger picture. Now what we have to do, what was the message in the presentation? We want to make these 3 cores based upon research questions. Initial experience, adaptations, and interruptions. The first is initial experience. So I will go here. I will make the new code. Initial experience. And say OK. So our code has come here. What is the second code? Adaptations. Again, I add another one and write adaptations. Third one is what? Interruptions. Again, I add interruptions. Okay. Now, as per this theory, as per these research questions, we have created our initial codes. Now, we can also create initial codes by some theory. Like, for example, this is Maslow's need hierarchy theory. Self-actualization needs, psychological needs, basic needs. I can also make, based upon this theory, primary 3 codes, these needs. As per these needs, I will do the analysis. I can do it. This is inductive or deductive? It is deductive because we are deducting this code from a theory. Now, let us go ahead. We have to decide what to code. What we have to code? How we will decide now? Tell me. Interruptions. Let me go to the first transcript. Let's double click it and activate this. Now we will read this particular. Lai is the person who is interviewing and Cynthia is the respondent. Hey Cynthia, do you mind first giving me a picture of what your daily life was like before the COVID-19 pandemic? Cynthia, of course. So my husband and I are both retired. We were both retired for 10 years now, and we have two grown up children that are off living, they are off living their own lives. We don't have to very regimented, we don't have a very regimented schedule, but our day-to-day life was essentially lots of TV, taking walks, going to the store to do some shopping. Every now and then we would have liked to trip out to see our kids. My husband loves cruises, though I'm not so keen on them. This is an introduction, somewhat introduction. Thanks for sharing that. Now, do you mind sharing a bit about the initial experience? So first, we are going to talk about initial experience. So let me take this quote to the top because this is the initial experience. So what is the answer about that? I was worried. I was very concerned about my kids. This is the initial experience before and when the COVID-19 came. Todd was traveling a lot for work at the time, and I was just telling them to be careful. I remember going online and trying to shop for sanitizer. They were giving me updates about how the stores in their area were running out of food. So this is the initial experience or interruption or adaptation. This would be initial experience. So what I will do, I will drag it to initial experience. Now you can see there is one and we have initial experience here. Now second would be, again, staying stocked at the time was definitely a challenge. It's nice that you were shopping for things. Can you tell me about anything else in your life that felt like it was interrupted with the pandemic? Now we are talking about second code, interruption. Interruptions. I don't know if I did necessarily call them interruptions, but things definitely changed. Actually, I was really looking forward to having Todd and his girlfriend come and visit us over the summer like they usually do, and it suddenly seemed like that it wasn't going to happen. With the travel shutdowns and everything, Todd still went out on a few work trips, but eventually those stopped. Again, it is an interruption. So now I'll put it in interruption. So you can see over here, students, my codes are getting generated. These are codes and these are basic codes, and we are seeing what all has to go where. So we are now analyzing the data and putting it in the relevant code. That is what it means when we are saying that decide what to code. First step was prepare your data by transcribing. Second was create the initial codes. That is 3 codes we created based upon research question or theory. Third step is deciding what to code. This is what to code. What will go where? So we are coding, but we have not put anything in adaptations. Let us proceed further. He says, it was crazy time. So what were some ways that you adapted during the pandemic? Now he's asking about adaptation. Now Cynthia says, so I mentioned the grocery shopping thing already. Yeah. I had to learn how to use the online app, and figure out how to find the right time slots for the grocery purchases. It also became a full-time job just hunting down the materials for my son, likes and sanitizers. One nice thing was that the kids did call more often and send texts more often. Maybe they had more time on hand as well, but in some ways I did feel more connected to them before. just because I was hearing from them every day. Now, instead of just once a week or whatever. So, these are adaptation. Now, the people are changing, children are changing. They're getting adapted to the situation. They're calling more often. So, okay, I will drag it to adaptations. Now we can continue like this and we can continue coding in these three slots. Next is, we did these group family chats, which were great. I was always looking forward to those. I mean, I did think it was nice that they could work from home now. This is also work from home is also what? It is adaptation. Then, since I keep talking about all those things, like for example, it was very nice for them to do that for me. We tried to play a game on computer. This is also adaptation. At some point of the summer, Bruce, my older son, actually came to live with us. He wasn't feeling great living in the tiny apartment of his. So we just told him his old bedroom is still there and he can come join us anytime. So he flew up there, quarantined for a bit, and then started to live with us. Quarantined for a bit. That is also adaptation. Well, I had to start running full kitchen again. I mean, I was busy. This is again an adaptation. Full kitchen. One of the babies was home with us and it was really nice. All this is adaptation. Did anything change for you in the daily routine once he moved back in with you? Cynthia, there was some adaptation involved and I remember Bruce was calling into meeting while in the kitchen, while my husband was watching some show on TV and there were complaints about the sound adaptation. So like this, I have coded the first transcript, more or less. This one is left. Of course, I saw my husband and both retired. Okay, this is an introduction. So suppose I don't know where to put this. Let's assume this is an introduction. So I can do one thing. I can make one more code, which is introduction, and add the code. It should be say in the last, like a miscellaneous, and I put it here. So like this, I have successfully coded the first transcript. Then I will go for the second one. Then I will go for the third one. Then I will go for the fourth one. Like this, I will code everything. And then after this coding is over, I will go to the next step. What is that? Let's decide what to code. Coding methods, descriptive and waiver. What is a descriptive code? Descriptive code is like, for example, if I am describing something, full paragraph is described by one word, then it is called as descriptive. Other could be action coding. Another would be process coding. So all this coding and in details thematic analysis, I will continue with the next video. Thank you for watching. If you like, please subscribe and let me know your comments. Thank you very much for your time.